Secretary. We will begin with a round of questions, 5 minutes apiece, and recognizing members in the order within which they have arrived. I want to start, Mr. Secretary, just where you left off there, which is the extension of an offer to work with members on this committee. I was reminded last week when we had Administrator Zeldin here that many of us have the bat line. We can call the administrator, we can call the secretary, and I have appreciated that engagement. But I think we also recognize that our teams need to be able to have this level of direct communication as well. And so in the effort to make sure that we are following the commitment of transparency, partnership, and responsiveness, I'd like just your commitment on behalf of your staff that we are able to set up at least quarterly meetings with your senior team, our senior approps folks here, to just go through many of the nits and recognizing that quite often we're going to need more than just that, but just this regular communication, particularly at a time when there is so much that is going on right now with a reprogramming, with restructuring, for us to better able to help you. We just need that kind of commitment. So it's worth a minute of my time at the top here to just ask for that public commitment to working with all of us here.
You have that commitment, and again, for those of you that are part of the confirmation process, thank you for continuing to move leaders forward. We're excited about having Kate McGregor start on the Tuesday after Memorial Day. This will be the first of 16 Senate-nominated positions joining Interior, and as the team we got some great candidates. As we get those onboarded, we're going to make sure to be working closely with all of you.
Appreciate that, and we look forward to that. I mentioned how refreshing it is to have an administration that recognizes the extraordinary potential that we have in Alaska, viewing our resource assets as an asset rather than a liability that needs to be protected against. I've mentioned the executive order unleashing Alaska's extraordinary resource potential. You also had a corresponding secretary's order. I'm hoping that you can share with me an update on the plans to meet implementation goals of this EO and what Alaskans can expect to see in the works for this summer season. And I've mentioned in my opening statements my concern that as we're seeing this significant transition within the department and workforce reduction initiatives, that we're not going to see any of this that happens back here undercutting both the president's and your stated policy goals as they relate to Alaska here.
Well, I think the place I'd like to start, which would be helpful, I think, for all the members of this committee, is to understand that when I came on board, one of the first things that I wanted to understand as an executive was, how many people worked in each bureau and what roles they had and where they were located. Of course, we had a remote working in place when I entered the building after my confirmation. A building here, headquarters that could hold as many as 3,500 people. There was nobody there. There was the appointees that had come on. There was a custodial staff. And I said, kind of, where is everybody? Well, we got a back-to-work order that's, coming up. The back-to-work order occurred later in February, and then we started to have some people trickle into the building. We still have a building that maybe is 1/3 full. I said, well, I thought I'll just go to the systems and find out. Turns out there was no way for me to even send an email to the 65,000 team members across all the bureaus. There wasn't a way to find out how many people worked in each of these bureau agencies. The IT systems are so incredibly outdated. And so then I said, well, let's just start with parks, because that's obviously important to everybody. How many people work in the parks, and how many are permanent, how many are permanent temporary, and how many are summer help? Just trying to find that out was difficult. And then we got a number, about 26,500 people work in the park system. And my next question was, well, how many of them actually physically work in a park? And that answer took almost 8 weeks because we had to have a group of people pull from all these heterogeneous systems information, because we had a home address where maybe their payroll check is being sent. We didn't, in many cases, even have duty stations for where the people reported to. And then when the number came back, the first number came back was, because I know everyone's just like hair on fire, like, oh, if we cut anybody, we're not going to be able to keep the parks open. The first number I got, slightly less than 50% of the permanent employees actually work in a park. They're working at a regional headquarters, they're working in some other location, they're working here in headquarters. And so then it was like, well, how many of them work by different functions? Because we always talk about park rangers and wildfire fighters, which we had put as a protected class on all of the orders when I got there, which is don't get rid of any wildland firefighters, don't get rid of any law enforcement. We don't want any of that. So then it comes back in that of the 65,000 people in Interior, 2,000 of them are listed as being in HR. I didn't hear anybody mention, please protect the HR positions. We got several thousand people working in IT, and I don't know what they do. I'm trying to find out, but I know we've got gobs and gobs of contractors chewing up the budget, and I think that people in IT are hiring contractors to do their work. And so my thesis right up front is for all the mischaracterization and hyperbole that somehow taking a hard look at how we actually operate an agency of this scope and scale, that we can't have a substantial amount of savings both in personnel cost and in dollars, and then actually end up with what all of us want, what all of you want, and what I want. I want more people in the parks. Whether they're driving a snowplow in the wintertime, or whether they're working with his interpreter in the summertime, or whether we're doing trail work, if they're firefighting, I want more of that. I want less overhead, because when I talk to these park superintendents and I said, how can I make your life more productive? It's not just about, oh, I need more people. Some of these parks, like Yellowstone, have got more people working this summer than they've ever had in the history of the park. Or certainly more than they've had. So so we're up from where we were 2 or 3 years ago. And then, but I'm saying, what can I do to help your life be more productive? And they say, get rid of the red tape above me. And so that's one of the things we're working on. And I think so we're listening to the people that are actually on the job doing the operations, and it's just common sense. So I think we can accomplish the goals that were raised by Senator Merkley and others, which is we can get more people actually doing the work and have the savings. Then if I can produce the savings, if I can reinvest those, then into the things that people matter, deferred maintenance.
So I let you go 2 minutes over my time, and I don't want to set that as the standard for the rest of my colleagues, because I understand we have a vote here, I think at 11:30, and I want folks to be able to have multiple rounds. I do think it was kind of important to just lay set the table here for what we're seeing. So I appreciate that. I'm now going to turn to Senator